Hello, welcome to Raymond's Art Studio at www.raymondsartstudio.com. In this part of the lesson, I'm going to do a little bit of recycling, reusing. Once you've turned pots on your wheel or work in your studio doing other things, you always have excess clay, which ends up in a bucket full of water. Once you evaporate the water out and you end up with clay that is very wet and sticky, it needs to be recycled. And that's what today's lesson is about. Reusing wet clay out of the bucket is just a messy job, but somebody has to do it. So what we do is we lay all our clay out on the vat here, which is made of plaster. And the plaster will absorb the water out of the clay. So once I get it packed on here, I'll let it set pretty much overnight. Tomorrow, when I come back into the studio, this clay will be ready to either be turned and put back on for a little while. And what I'll do is I'll turn it and I'll put it onto a dry spot. Or this clay will just be ready to use at that point. So tomorrow we'll take a look at it and see how it's looking. Okay, it's about 15 hours from when I put this clay on the vat, and it's got to the point where the moisture has been drawn out of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off a piece of clay, and I'm just going to start wedging the clay. And it takes a few minutes. What you want to do is you want to wedge it into a ball. And there's still quite a bit of moisture in this clay. As you can see, some of it's sticking to the vat. But eventually, you keep moving it to a dry spot on the vat, and it will stop sticking. So what we're going to do, roll it into balls. We're going to put it in plastic bags, and then we'll come back later when the vat's dry, and we'll re-wedge the clay. As you can see right now, clay is full of air pockets, so it'll have to be re-wedged, but we want to let it set in the clay for a while for the moisture to change throughout the clay. We'll come back here a little later and re-wedge. Okay, the clay has set in the plastic bag for some time now, so we're going to take some of this clay out and we're going to get back to wedging, and it should be perfectly ready once we're done wedging it for use. Okay, I'm going to pull some of this clay out of this bag. So there's a little bit of dust on the outside of the bag. This is a nice sized piece. What I'm going to do, lay it in the middle of my vat. Put both of the heels of my hands onto it and simply push. Pull it up, push it, pull it up, push it right into itself. I'm going to work this clay probably close to 50 turns. I can already hear the air bubbles popping out of it. Just keep forcing the clay into itself. This is called a bullhead, and for some reason I believe that's because it's shaped like a bullhead. Now you can see the air bubbles coming out of the clay. There are spots where they're popping out. If I can find a good one here. This clay is already getting to that point. I'll roll the clay into a round cylinder. I'm going to take my wire, cut the clay in half. I'm going to look inside, and most of the air pockets are gone. Now that most of the air is out, I can just slap this back together, wedge it a few more times. We want real nice consistency. It feels nice and soft. It doesn't feel like it has any bad lumps in it. You have to watch for bad lumps, which will throw you off when you're turning. Now we're just going to work it into a cylinder. I have a nice round cylinder ready to be thrown onto the wheel. At this point, I like to pound out the bottom a little bit to get any cracks that might be in it out. We don't want a swirly crack in the bottom because that will create problems later when we're turning it. Now this is the part I will put down on the back for centering. Okay, I hope that this video was a little helpful for you. Now you can reprocess, reclaim all of your old clays in a couple of steps. It takes a couple days to dry that sludge out, but once you do, you can work it right into a ball. It's ready to be turned. Our next video will be centering on the wheel. Well, I hope you enjoyed your visit, and I hope you learned something from this lesson today. Please join me again at Raymond's Art Studio at www.raymondsartstudio.com.